Hello everyone, welcome back to Prince and Nikki's channel. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to our new project, Project PS03. What you're seeing on your screen is a 3D video and images of the building. This image was designed by our partner Anafi and Associates, who has been doing the designs on most of the projects I've been working on. This property is located in Grey City, Amanfrom. If you haven't watched the previous episode already, that one goes over the introduction to the project. It goes through the setting out and the digging stages. So head over and have a look at that.
Yeah, in this video, we're going to take you over what we've been doing over the last 6 to 8 weeks up to the completion of the foundation works.
It has been quite a long time, and those of you who have watched our channel for a while will know that it doesn't always take this long for this kind of stage. However,
It's the
rainy
rain.
season has taken its toll, but we got there in the end.
Yeah, I think it's the rain that's been difficult this time. It started quite very early back in April. The rain just didn't stop really, but finally we're where we should be now. So yeah, we're happy to just take you over what we're doing the whole foundation stage. We hope you pick any point here that will help you in your own building journey.
Yes, so what you're seeing on your screen here, once they've done the foundation digging, the footing digging, sorry, what they're now doing here is doing the column setting out. Now, we've talked about it in previous videos where you see the columns are, they do a small layer of concrete to set the columns. That's really important.
Yeah, that's the blending. So it's your columns need a solid base to sit on. So you need to do a blending, which is approximately 2 to 3 inches thick. Need to be done before you can put the mat on it, and then put your column on it. So effectively, you set the column on it because you need that mat in order to transfer the load into the ground.
Yeah, and always make sure that when you're doing all of these, the digging stages and the columns, make sure that you have a full complete pack of your drawings with all the details. The reason for this is because you can't always assume that every column is the same size and the same structure of how it's put together. You will see on Project Coffee, which is in the background there, that some of the videos on the column setting on that project, some of them was really large, and that's because some of the columns continue up and some of them don't, isn't it?
I think it's hardly for you to come across a building that got the same types of columns. So if you look on your drawing, you will see you got type A, type B, or C1, C2, C3, because the structural engineers based that on the different loading of the structure. So it's important that the artisans on the side follows that when they are setting out the columns. You need to have the right columns at the right side of the building. Otherwise, you will have structural issues in the future because the design is based on calculation done by the structural engineer.
Yeah, so it's really, really important. So what you see here, the guys, they're just gone around, they've set every single one of the columns.
Yeah, so after the setting out of the columns, the next stage is the casting of the footing. So here you need a minimum about 1 foot of concrete, depend on the structural engineer calculation. So you need a minimum of 1 foot of a concrete around the whole length of the foundation. So when you finish that, that is where you began doing the block work. So what you can see currently is that we are casting the footing, what the block work is going to sit on. And what we do here is that depending on the ground condition, we work in places whereby we have to add waterproof additive into it. But in here, we only add a concrete hardener into it. So what you can see there, that is Thomas, our structural engineer. During the block laying stages, we were concerned that the back of the house, the footing is higher than what is currently anticipated. So we called him to come and say we need to introduce some beams and we discussed the requirements. So he just came on site for supervision, and also to talk about how we introduce the beam, and also how do we get all the beams and stuff around the sunk-in living rooms, because there was a sunk-in living room in this building, which the whole of that section needed to be cast completely waterproof concrete.
Maybe you would like to explain the reason why we need a beam.
We need a beam because it's because you can't have more foundation, you can't have more than 5 courses of block without a beam, because otherwise when you fill it with laterite, the weight, the block will just break. So after every 5 courses, ideally you should introduce a beam. Structural engineers can correct me on that, but for a bit of building tech that I've learned, you need to introduce a beam, so that gives that support. So if you continue with 5, 6, 7, 10 courses without a beam, the block cannot hold the F when you do the filling. So that's why you need to introduce the beam at the right point.
Yeah, and that's where the engineer came and we agreed on where the beam will be introduced.
Yeah. So normally when you see the structural engineer, it will show you a capping beam that at the end of the footing you put a beam across it, but that assumes that you are not coming about more than 2 feet above the ground level. So when you are laying a lot of block in the groundwork, um, the principle is that you treat those as a suspended floor, because once you're gonna have a void under the foundation that is over a meter high. The principle of dealing with that needs to change. So you introduce a beam so that the F movement and everything else will not affect the structure in future.
I think what we've learned, obviously, we have quite a number of different projects now on Grey City, and if you've been on the ground on the land, it grades from one side to the other. So with Project Cuffy there and the one we're on now, the left of the screen is the higher point and it tails down. So for this particular house, the back of the house is where the land gets taller. So that's where we had the engineer have a look at.
Yeah, and also the ground condition is completely different. From this side to the project bench step, we have further down here, it's 2 different land conditions. So what we did, that foundation, we began to bring you from next week, foundation set out and everything, and the depth of the foundation, the structural engineering solution is completely different from what we did here because of the ground condition. So it's always good to revise your structural drawing based on what you meet on the ground, because I think let's face it, not many people in Ghana who will commission a ground survey, cell survey, for you to do all the survey you need to do in the ground before you design your house. You have an architect prepare a drawing for you, you start digging. But as I said, when you start digging and you find that the ground condition is not as you expect, you need to speak to the structural engineer and have those drawings revised to suit the ground condition.
Yeah, it's really difficult, isn't it? Because you have a lot of drawings that are they're designed on an assumption of the flat land,
It is.
but no land's really flat.
Yeah, I think it's because of the cost involved. Because if you want to get a surveyor, geodetic surveyor to go and tell you all the coordinates, pick the actual accurate levels on the land to tell you where it's high, where it's low for the architect and the structural engineer to work with, that's an additional cost. So if you put that forward to a client, you said, okay, I need another 15, 20,000 to do a measure survey. They said, oh, why can't you just go and dig the land? So I think you try to work with the limitation you have and just get the best solution.
Yeah. On that point, one thing I will like to kind of emphasize is we've been in communication with a lot of different clients now in the past 2 years that we've been doing this in Ghana. And one of the things that I'd like to emphasize to people is the importance of the quality of your design pack. We have seen people come and go with different levels of quality, and sometimes it's not until you come to the building stage that when you're trying to do that, the level of detail or this even the structural calculations, it just doesn't always work. So it's really important to consider what information is in the pack, and if you're not sure of the information that's in there, have someone take a look at it.
I think it's, to me, it is, if you're gonna have your dream house design, you say I'm gonna build my dream house, you're gonna spend $100,000, $200,000. You just name a figure, whatever your dream is, but you want to pay 10, 15,000 cities for the design. It cannot tell you will not get what you need. So if it's a dream house, what you should invest equally in is a design. And we have seen time and again so many designs that come across our desk, um, and and that the details are not there. The structurally the building cannot stand. And if you tell people, "Oh, this is not good," they say, "Oh, but I've got a stamp on it."
Yeah, but
But
it's when it comes to safety, it's not something that you can mess around with. And
yeah,
I think definitely for me, design package, but also the project management, I think is massively underestimated of how important it is to have the project management and how it all ties everything into the stages and coordinating all the different disciplines that come in to when you're developing a project. And that's why it's quite important really to have your own team and work with those, because there's a level of understanding and respect.
and then if you talk about project management, there's a difference between someone who's doing project management in all the fields and a project management in construction. Someone who is your project manager need to understand the building process, need to understand the drawing,
And so like
because
a building
yeah,
project
yeah, it
manager.
is. It is
Yeah.
because we got people who we do other side of our service. We help other people, inspection, sign
Yeah,
inspection, give
procurement and things
procurement.
as
We give
well.
all that advice to people, and most often the time, people say, "I've got a project manager." Effectively, that is the person back home who
Yeah,
is
like a
responsible
family
for
friend.
managing the money, give the money to the builder, but then they don't know the details of what is right or what is wrong. What you can see here is the beam that we're introducing over here, because this side of the foundation needs to be substantially higher. So this is a 1 foot beam that is wrapping all around, will go around um, effectively up to the half of the building where the sunken living room is. As I said,
Yeah,
uh,
you can see the height here,
the,
can't
the,
you?
the height here. So it's this is where uh, it's safe just to introduce the beam. That is why the engineers was here to say you need to introduce a beam here because you got a blockwork to still go on here before you can be at the right height. Because the other option is to put a step into the house so that the front you come in a step and
Yeah,
go back. You don't want to build a house and have a step in.
I think it's one of the things we always say is we try to maintain the minimal number of changes in level on the ground floor. We think about age proofing. This particular house design does have a sunken living room, but everywhere else we always try to make sure that the level on the ground floor is one, so that as you age, there's accessibility and things. So we have to sometimes consider the the height at the front versus the back. It does look a little bit lower on the front, but that's because of all the soil that's up against there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the levels have been taken with the road, the gradient of the land, and the way the water will flow and
It's the whole
things.
thing complies with the building reg to make sure we get the right levels. You need to be 15 centimeters above the highest point so that you don't breach your DPC. So everything has been taken care of to make sure that what you're building complies with the local regs.
So what you're seeing here now, we've skipped forward to the filling stages. So once we have the laterite that you see on the screen, so we do that in two stages compacting.
Yeah, we do that. So we do about 300 mil or 1 foot, 18 inches or 1 foot thereabout. We do compacting two stages because what we don't want to do is to fill the whole foundation and then keep pouring water in it and waiting for it to compact. So we break down the compacting into two stages. So where this is further deeper, those are compacted manually as we go along, and then um, it is backfill again. Then you continue to backfill. So we do two stages. The first stage has already been done. Then when you finish, the final stage whereby you do the second comparting, some blending before you begin to lay your DPM. This DPM is our own DPM that we stock. It's all sourced from the UK. We got our own stocks. In case you need any material DPM, contact the office. We'll be able to supply you the high quality that we use in all our projects. What is also important with the DPM is it's not good enough just to buy a quality DPM and you don't use DPM tape. All joints must be taped to prevent any water ingress passing through the weak point. So all the joints are fully taped before the 242 mesh laying.
We have a number of DPM videos on our channel. As if you've been watching us for a while, you'll know that we're quite advocates for damp proofing. We really speak a lot on it in terms of preventing damp. We see it as a big problem in properties in Ghana, and what we want to do is try to help the next people that are building have no problems with rising damp. So that's why we've taken it upon ourselves to make sure that we supply and also use the correct products on all of our projects, as well as sell them in our office. And we have quite a number of people purchasing us on a weekly basis. And as Prince says, you don't just need to use a DPM, you need to make sure that there's that 4-inch overlap between each sheet that you lay, and then seal the joints with the tape. One thing you'll notice on the screen here, after you've done the filling, that's the stage when you also need to make sure that you have your plumber come in, as well as the steel bender, to make sure that the starting of the plumbing is in the ground.
Yeah, you can see we got a lot of pipes around the whole of this building. This building is not a secret roof, as popularly called. It's a pitch roof. But the reason why we got a lot of pipes, drain pipes along, is because we got extensive terraces. So you also need to figure out how you're gonna get the water out from your terraces into the ground. Because what you want is to be raining and your terrace is ponding. So that is why we have made provision for all these pipes down to bring the water all down to the ground. Because we said in the first video, this has got a potential to be 4-bedroom house, because you got the whole of the front of the garage, which is just a terrace. So that's why the provisions have been made to make sure that we get the water down as soon as possible. So you can see the whole of this slab is reinforced slab. So it's fully reinforced. That is what the design, that's what we have costed. So we're just doing what we've costed effectively to make sure that the client get the best product as possible.
So now we're moving on to the foundation casting. This is the last stage before we can say the first phase is complete. On the day, we normally work with 2 machines and 2 different teams. We always try to cast where possible, depending on the size of the property, in one day. And that's why we have the 2 different teams working.
Yeah, but on Project Tip, we're gonna need 3 machine because it's 80% bigger than this.
Yeah,
so this foundation is relatively the same size as our house, our footing, but a Tip is substantially more. So 2 machine will not be able to do it.
As Prince mentioned, we have another project that we'll be bringing onto the channel in the next week or so, Project Step. You will probably see on your screen right about now, the project is behind those 2 houses. So it's further down there on the same Grey City Phase 3. So that will be coming as well. So yeah, key things in terms of casting your floor concrete, you need to always make sure that you use waterproofing, which you'll see on the screen right about now. We use Sika waterproofing products on all of our projects.
Yeah, but in this case is in a foundation. We're only using the Sika Superlight additive just for the sunken living room, because that is definitely is lower than the rest, so you can feel it around there. So the whole of that is waterproof so that you don't get any issues on the walls when we finish.
Yep, and with our concrete, one thing we always as well emphasize is it's really important that you look at your detailed drawings to make sure that you're using the right concrete ratio. You will maybe notice when you get estimates for your projects differences in price. It may be that there's differences in quality and difference in materials used. So always make sure that when you're doing your project that you're getting what is in specification of your drawings. The concrete ratio is really important, as is the thickness of the slab. You will notice on all of our projects, our slabs are quite thick. And
It is. I think
yeah,
it's you got to follow what the specification is, isn't it? But sometimes we will say a 6 inches, 150 mil, but you will find out that you need to take into account by the time you get all the levels, everything right, you might be at about 7 inches thick. There are instances whereby we cut 8 inches, depends on the loading on the floor.
yeah, and also you don't want the pipes sticking out. What you're seeing here, this bit here is the beginning of the sunken living area. So they do this cast this bit, and then what will happen is the carpenter will come and kind of block it out. So they cast the rest, and then this will be sunken. But as we go along, you'll see the kind of finished product. You'll see it more so in the block stages, won't you? Because then you'll see
Yeah,
it more.
it is.
But yeah, so this is what we're doing on the concrete casting. As I said, we have quite a lot of people on the team on the day. One thing I will say as well is when you're doing all of your stages, always try to be forward thinking. You'll notice on our project, our own PND homestead that we're doing on our channel, we haven't done screeding. We try to avoid screeding because we try to look at the finished floor level and think about how everything ties in. It not only saves on materials, but also we don't do things like laying the electrical pipes on the ground. So it's all about cost efficiency and doing things in a different way.
Yeah, I guess the whole purpose of the screening is to provide a level base for your final floor finish. What we do in Ghana is everyone lay tiles and you got a mortar that the tile sits on, not your typical tile adhesive that you apply about 2 3 mils and stick the tiles onto it that you do in the West. So if you're gonna have a mortar which is about 2 inches thick, why do you need to spend another money laying pipes on the floor and then cover it with another 4 inch mortar of a screening? So that is why we brought the efficiencies and we don't run the pipes on the floor. Take your levels, make sure your levels are right. Then when you come, it's only the tile that will have to do this works. And then that level is right. And you save substantially more on labor, cement, and sand.
Yeah. So that's the ending of the floor casting. One thing I will say before we start to wrap up this video is um, do share the love. This is a new project, as with most new projects. When they first start going out, people might not recognize the project. So, what I will ask is if you are still watching and you've enjoyed this, please do hit the like button and also please do subscribe to the channel.
Because
There's
eighty
always,
percent of you still watch this regularly. You got 80% of you who watch
yeah.
regularly but don't subscribe. So if you watch it till this stage, please subscribe.
Subscribe to us, guys. We have a large increase in the number of views and the quantity of people watching our videos. So the percentage has increased. So please do hit the subscribe button, but also there is a notification button on your screen. So please do hit that as well. What you're seeing on your screen here is the sunken living area. So that's how we'll have the lower area for the living and then the kitchen. What I'll try to do is put a little video together of the walkthrough on the channel. We are going to now set up a playlist for this Project PS03 on our channel. So if you haven't already done so, you can head over to the channel, click on the playlist, and you have each individual project on there. We have our own project. We have Project Yao, Casa Josie, and many others. So head on over there and stick it out with us. And thank you for watching today.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.